John, I'm fairly certain that if one was to walk into the CNN building in Atlanta, they might have to show an ID,
yes.
right? Are you allowed to just walk into CNN and pass the security guards and press the button and go right up to Jeff Zucker's office and open up his door and sit down with him for a meeting? I don't think so. So, of course, this is all just silliness. Look, this is the same old nonsensical cry of racism, because that's really what this is all whittled down to, that the left does with pretty much everything. There is no reason that you should not have to have an ID to vote. You need an ID to get on a plane. You need an ID to buy a beer. And John, you know what? You need an ID to rent a bike because they want you to bring the bike back, okay? But for some reason, we're telling people, or they're telling people, that if you have a requirement for an ID to vote, that is somehow racist, that somehow black people can't get an ID. That in and of itself is deeply racist. What person do you know that cannot get an ID? And by the way, if you could show me a certain set of people that are having trouble getting an ID, I'm not a big fan of using government dollars for a lot of stuff because it's really our money. But I would be okay with the government then saying, okay, let's give people some IDs.
This is the thing I don't understand. If IDs are the problem, if people not having IDs are the problem, why do Democrats not talk more about getting these folks IDs, considering you need them for almost everything else, to rent a movie or to rent a bike, as you say, or to do anything? You need an ID. So if folks don't have access to an ID, by all means, let's help them get IDs. You know, the other thing, too, I think, which anybody, sometimes this stuff gets really complicated, Dave, but what's really simple for everyone to understand is everyone said never again, no more Holocaust, no more genocides, but we have one happening right now in China. The Biden administration finally using those terms, genocide, explicitly, and I'm sure Coca-Cola and Delta, since they don't, they're not cool with any of this stuff, they're going to pull their business out of China. I'm sure that's the next step, right?
Yeah, it is April Fool's Day, exactly.
Yeah.
Look, of course, this is silliness. We know that the NBA, which I think is the best example of this at a corporate level, they bow to China because they want the business in China, and they'll rail against the Republicans in America and what an evil, racist, patriarchal state, and they'll put Black Lives Matter on the court while they watch their ratings tank, I think, a third this past season after dropping a third the season before. They'll relentlessly rail against America, but saying anything against their overlords in China is something that they simply won't do. And that really tells you a little something about kind of how great our capitalist democracy is, and that you can do that here, and we are allowed to complain about it.
Right. And we complain. Sometimes we do.
And we
it's
do.
Okay.
We do.
We don't try to complain too much, but there's a time. There's a time for everything. Let's move on, though, and talk about cancel culture and social media. And every time I think it can't get any more ridiculous, it does. Now, Facebook says they are censoring the voice of Donald Trump on all their platforms. The social media giant's new policy came to light when Trump's daughter-in-law, Lara Trump, posted an interview with the former president, but they took it down. And here's their statement, quote, "In line with the block we placed on Donald Trump's Facebook and Instagram accounts, further content posted in the voice of Donald Trump will be removed and result in additional limitations on the accounts." He's the former president. Dave, you don't like him, that's fine. But what he says is important because he could run again. And again, I'm just so frustrated by this. I don't even know what to say.
What do they mean by in the voice of Donald Trump?
Whatever they want it to mean. That's what it means. Whatever they want it to mean. Whatever they want it to mean.
That's the point, John. It's whatever they want it to mean. I mean, are they saying that going forward, if you see Donald Trump outside Mar-a-Lago and take a video of him saying hello, they're going to ban you from Facebook? Are we allowed to post old videos of Donald Trump? Are we allowed to post the memes that were hot over the last 4 years? But look, this is just an extension of something that I talk to you every week about, which is that big tech has a absolutely ridiculous amount of control over who can talk, when they can talk, how they can talk, who they can talk to, and the rest of it. And until we start scaling some of that power back, and I hate to tell you guys, it ain't going to come from Congress. They have these sham hearings every couple weeks, and we all talk about it, but they don't do anything. But until we stop giving them our information, I was on Sean Spicer's show yesterday, and he said, well, it was Lara Trump's page. And I had to make the point of saying, well, actually, no, she thinks she owns that page, but it's Facebook's page. It's Facebook's page. And until people start owning their stuff, do not expect Facebook or YouTube or Twitter to do anything that would be remotely close to a free exchange of ideas that we would care about.
If you're looking for more honest and thoughtful conversations about politics instead of nonstop yelling, check out our politics playlist. And if you want to watch full interviews on a variety of topics, watch our full episode playlist all right over here. And to get notified of all future videos, be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell.